Marvel's Rivals has been doing spectacular since release just a few days ago. It's had hundreds of thousands of people in game at all times, and it doesn't look like it's going to slow down anytime soon. But now we have the game director trashing Concord, saying it didn't bring any unique value to the genre. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I always think that a situation like this is hilarious when a director stands up for their game and also happens to criticize the competition. I mean, not that Concord's really competition anymore, seeing as nobody can play it at all whatsoever, and Sony wasted hundreds of millions of dollars on a pile of trash now, but Thaddeus Sasser, the game director for Rivals, trashed Firewalk Studios Concord, saying it didn't bring any unique value because the mainstream media was trying to say that Concord only failed because there's so much competition, there's so many similar games, it's a very competitive space, which I'm not necessarily disagreeing with that, but when you make every wrong decision, it's going to add up, and it led to nobody playing this title. I mean, it was a $40 buy-in, and hey, I'm fine with an initial buy-in cost if the content is there, but it wasn't. You only had a handful of maps, you only had 16 heroes, you had really bad character designs, you had really bad map designs, you had awful backstories for the characters. I mean, in totality, it was an embarrassment for Sony. I do not know what Sony was thinking when they bought Firewalk Studios, when they dumped hundreds of millions of dollars into this game. It just seemed like they had no idea what they were doing. And, well, Thaddeus here happened to create one of the, let's be honest, most successful games of 2024, even though it only launched with a month left. It's already doing crazy numbers, and he's not afraid to defend his creation. So during an appearance on the Video Gamer podcast ahead of Rivals release, and this was right before release, one of the show's hosts brought up the fact that the game was releasing in a crowded market and noted that Concord recently released and was quickly shut down. The host stated, "You're entering a market that is very full of different games. I think one of the cool benefits of Marvel Rivals is that it is offering something that not only no one else can, because no one else has the Marvel license for a hero shooter, but you're also offering something that is entirely unique within its market." And I've played a lot of hero shooters, I've played a lot of FPSs, I've played a lot of competitive games over the years, and yes, let's be honest, Rivals has a lot of similarities to a game like Overwatch. It has a lot of similarities, and that's okay. I'm not saying that that is a bad thing. Games are inherently going to be similar to each other in some way, shape, or form, even if it just boils down to an inventory system or classes or similar weapons. Like, you're never going to be able to create a 100% fully unique product. It just has to be different enough. And I do think that Rivals is. I mean, it launched with 33 characters, which is insane for a game to launch with. That's like 2 or 3 years into development levels. You have multiple maps, and yeah, I do think that the Marvel license did help a lot here. I do think being able to throw people's favorite characters in, like the Hulk or Captain America, Iron Man, Black Panther, Thor, those are really great characters to be able to play as. And just a few years ago, we got the Marvel's Avengers game, and we were sorely disappointed with how terrible that title was. And this is really the Marvel game that we've all been waiting for. Sure, it doesn't have like some in-depth story mode. Maybe one day they would create a kind of companion story mode to go with it, which would be really cool, but it does offer something really unique, and it's just a very fun game in totality. And then they were talking about Concord, like Concord came out and died very quickly. There's a lot of reasons behind that, probably. It didn't have much marketing, people didn't gel with the art style of it, but at the end of the day, it was another standard hero shooter. And then Sasser chimed in saying, yeah, it didn't bring any unique value. And I'm just going to be honest, I completely agree with this. I did play Concord when it had the free open beta because I thought to myself, you know what, I've criticized it, but maybe the gameplay will actually be phenomenal. And it wasn't. I was very disappointed, and I know so many other people were too. I mean, the open beta had more players than the full release. It had basically nobody in game. It peaked at 679 people, which is insanely low again, especially for a game that they pumped hundreds of millions of dollars into. And sure, those are just PC numbers, but if we're comparing Concord's PC numbers to Marvel Rivals, it is a very, very different picture. I mean, playing right now on a Friday afternoon is 358,364. The 24-hour peak was 368,951, and the all-time peak 5 days ago was 480,990. People are really enjoying this title, and so far, I am as well. It's a free game that's very aesthetically pleasing. It's got tons of character and moveset variation. It's got really good maps. Overall, it's just a fun experience, and if you feel kind of skeptical about it, you can just jump in for free. You don't have to pay a $40 buy-in. And again, I'm fine with paying $40 if the content is there, but it certainly was not when it came to Concord. But it seemed that Sony got a little bit desperate for cash to make a little bit of money, but it didn't turn out the way that they expected. It didn't blow up in the way that they wanted, but I don't know how they could have ever expected Concord to do that well, just judging by the terrible quality. And we already know that Marvel's Rivals in just 72 hours had reached an incredible milestone of 10 million players worldwide. And this was a couple of days ago. They haven't even given any updated numbers. I would assume it's probably closer to like 15 million at this point, but it's just a really great experience. And to hear a director like this come out and trash Concord is hilarious to me. He's also asked, when you're pitching or working on a new free-to-play game in the current market, are there worries that you're not going to be able to grab that crowd? It's quite evident that Marvel Rivals will at least kick off very well, especially considering the massive Discord following and how big those playtests were. Is there a slight worry there? And he basically responded with, no. As a game developer, you're always worried until the audience has already responded, and the truth is that I don't think anybody can accurately predict this or that game in the industry being radically different today. There's a lot of games that come out where people are like, it's gonna do well, and then it flops, or people come out and go, it's going to flop, and it succeeds amazingly. So I think it's really hard to tell ahead of time, and you're always worried about that, which, I mean, is a genuinely good answer. It's true. You never really know, and that's why I try to talk about so many things on the channel, but I say, maybe this game will succeed because I'm not right all the time. Nobody is right all the time, but when you have a franchise or an IP this big, and it's a genre that a lot of people have kind of been itching for a new big game to release in, plus it's free, it's a recipe for success, and Marvel's Rivals is certainly a success so far. I've also made a few other videos on the character designs in this game, triggering sensitive snowflakes on social media. They're mad that the females are attractive. They say that it appeals to the male gaze. And then, of course, you have the hunky masculine men. And there are people saying, oh my God, why can't we have realistic looking characters, which is so stupid. First of all, there are people that are really buff in this world. It's not that every single person is a fatty. But second of all, we are talking about superheroes here who are doing unrealistic things. Like, you have a character who skates around on ice. You have Spider-Man hanging from webs. You have Venom. Okay, these are unrealistic character kind of features, abilities, and you're sitting here worried about men loving the designs of the female characters. Your priorities are completely out of whack. So I will continue to keep my eye on Rivals, but it is hilarious that this is happening. Now the Marvel's Rivals game director is trashing Concord, saying it didn't bring any value to the market. But that's all that I had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.